I'm thrilled to sit down today with my old friend Aida Murad. We go back a long way, and I watched her amazing journey unfold over the years. Aida's art has always moved me deeply, the way she channels her own healing into these incredible pieces that touch something in all of us: body, mind, heart, and soul. She uses in ways that words so often can't express. I'm so grateful she is here to share her story with us today. Aida, it's so great to have you.
Terry,
I,
it's so good to be here.
you're an old friend, and having you here with us is a great treat for me. Um, I think I'd like to ask you a few questions about yourself before we get on to this wonderful new book that we'll have more words about a little bit later. But let me start by asking you a little about your story, because you and I got to know each other many years ago, really. You left the East Coast for the West Coast in order to find yourself, which you said was your objective. And what you found was that you were an artist. Could you tell us a little about that story?
Yes, the finding yourself journey. I don't know if it ever ends, but I feel that it gets clearer and clearer every day if you're curious and persistent. For me, it's the pivotal moments happened actually by like a butterfly being in the like the caterpillar and then turning into a butterfly. It was with strong pressure and unexpected challenges that came overnight. And that's what I found is a common theme in my personal growth is I'm an intense person and it just happens. I like minimal amount of time of intensity and hardship, but then when it comes strong. So the way I got into art is because was semi-paralyzed overnight for 4.5 years I struggled with that. I used to be an economist, and then fast forward, I thought art was a cute thing to do. I did not take it seriously. And whenever someone would call me an artist, I was like, no, I'm a strategy person. I'm an economist. I thought it just wasn't the smart thing to do. And then COVID happened, and I was still doing art as a side thing. And then I, for 3 months, didn't even receive a hug, any form of human contact, which actually is extremely hard, much harder than I thought it would be. Um, Long story short, I moved to LA because I had a vision, like just a very clear vision in my dreams where God put me in his hands and moved me from New York to LA. So without question, I knew I had to go. I had no friends. I lost my business during COVID because everyone canceled at the time. And no apartment to stay in LA yet. I didn't know where I was staying. And then I just knew it would all be taken care of because I was guided there. So I drove cross country, and on the way, my friend said, "Oh, you're going to LA? Oh, I have an extra house. Just stay there. Oh, you want some business? Oh, it all just worked out." And then I met the people that I was meant to meet who showed me how miserable I was when I did anything but art. And then I prayed to God, I set an agreement, and I said, God, if I'm meant to do art full time, I need to make X amount of money by this period of time. And I set Terry a ridiculous formula because I said, no way will it happen. But if it happens, I promise to turn into a full-time artist. And then sure enough, it happened. And I kept my end of the bargain, which is jumping into this role.
That's wonderful, Ida. I'm glad to get all the details. Now, somewhere in this journey, you developed the connection between art and healing, or art and therapy. How did that crystallize for you?
It started with my own need for healing. So when I became semi-paralyzed overnight, it came with a lot of shock, a lot of shame, because I was such an independent woman. I I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't like asking for help. Like to humans, I would talk to animals often. I'll talk to plants often because they felt much safer at the time than people. Um, and also in my giving, like in receiving relationship, I would give much more than I would receive. So art was and oh, in parallel, doctors said I have only 3 months left to use my hands before they become permanently damaged. And I was applying for jobs, and someone asked me, "Why should we hire you?" And I'm a blunt person generally, and I said, "I have no idea. There's nothing special about me." And then I didn't get the job, of course. So I just remember like an angel whispering in my ear saying, "You have a unique fingerprint." Like I just remembered that fact. I have a unique fingerprint. I'm walking daily with evidence that I have something unique to offer while I'm alive. And then I just thought maybe if I buy paint, because I can only use my hands for 3 more months, and I keep doing this, maybe I'll unlock the subconscious reason as to why I'm here. And then that just opened the whole like kind of floodgates of, wow, I understood myself more. I could talk to anger, I could talk to sadness, I could talk to joy, understand the spectrum of emotions through art and the journey of healing. And that turned into sharing those stories through art. And it just grew and grew.
Could you sort of walk us through the creative process about connecting art and therapy or healing?
Yes. So, number one, my only rule is never a paintbrush. You have to paint with some part of your body. Why? Because your body contains so much data. We've become a society heavily dependent on our mind. Even a lot of creators create today with their mind, and I think it's so limited because the mind serves a certain purpose, but the heart serves another purpose. Your intuition, yeah,
Ida,
tell me.
you are very much on my wavelength here because, as you know, the unified path is about body, mind, heart, and soul, and you're speaking to those various categories right now, and I'm so glad to hear it. But let's get back to the creative process.
There's that's my number one rule, right? Painting with some part of my body. And when someone paints with me, because I lead a lot of workshops, I've led workshops for about 10,000 people now, where they have to paint with their body part. So I'll go to my creative process. The first part is that. Second part is I mostly paint with my eyes closed. Why? Because I believe I am the medium. I am tuning into something so beyond, so unseen, so beautiful that it doesn't matter whether my eyes are open or not. Now I've entered after, now it's been about, so I've been an artist for about 10 years, full time since COVID. And now I've entered the stage where I'm having fun painting with my eyes open because now that's a new experience for me. So I kind of went in reverse. Um, yeah, and then I
Painting
paint.
with your eyes open, how interesting.
Yeah,
What
that's
an interesting idea.
because I used to paint with my eyes closed, and then I would paint usually 13 paintings at the same time. Why? Because it is a natural human behavior to start judging what you're creating. So before I could smell it, feel it, as soon as I start to think and judge, I will move on to the next painting. I won't even have time or space to let the judgment creep in. And that is so important. And I never pressure my art to be done.
So
It tells
your approach to avoiding judgmentalism is to get on to the next thing rather than stay and dwell with this question about value and judgment. Just go on to the next thing to avoid that moment.
exactly. And some paintings, actually, it's so funny. So I talk to my art and they talk to me. So some paintings tell me, do not look at me. I don't know how to explain it. They just they don't want to be looked at all. And some paintings want to be admired throughout the process. Each one is a different energy. So a key part of the creative process, which is a key part in life also, to just enjoy life, is to be present, right? To be present. And when you're present, do you actually hear so many things that are being spoken and just wanting to to help you actually live your best life.
That's wonderful. Yes, presence. Uh, not not enough said about presence. But what message do you hope people take away from your art?
Hmm. That life is beautiful. Really, I think that's the message at the end of the day, because most of my art is is built on that. And it's not, it's interesting. I've been thinking a lot about happiness and joy. Like I want to make people feel alive and remember the beauty of life. But as I've been working on hundreds of pieces, I've noticed for some people, feeling alive actually is looking into a very deep, 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 dark painting. Dark in as in colors, right? And that's what works for them. And some paintings are like incredibly bright, like the one behind us. And that's been fascinating to get to know, yeah, to get to see the diversity.
Ida, you have so much to say about process that's really worth hearing. But can we talk about that in terms of this magnificent new book?
Yes. So this book is first, thank you, Terry, for your beautiful words. I really appreciate it. So this book is a collection, it's been 5 years in the making, and it's a collection of 120 paintings, and each painting is paired with the story of the painting, a life lesson, and then a creative activity for you to do to process the life lesson. So how I
Let,
encourage you to use the book. Yeah.
let's pick one.
So what I recommend when using this book before opening it, just hold it and think of an intention and let your feeling guide you onto which page you're supposed to read. Let's see.
Well, my intention has taken me to the painting of the mountain.
Oh, so relevant for this conversation.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So I'd recommend looking at reading the life message or the key message and
The key message says, extend kindness to yourself and others, navigating the healing journey. The path may be steeper and more challenging than it seems, but trust that you have the strength to endure, for God never gives us more than we can handle. Embrace the nonlinear nature of healing and keep moving forward with faith and resilience.
yes. So it's so
That's a wonderful message.
thank you. So then there's one, this message was so relevant to our conversation because it just healing is a non-linear journey. And this is part of, yeah, so this, and then there's a whole creative activity for you to do beneath. Maybe you want to explore it later on. But you,
Well, it's worth having a look at. I mean, in
yeah,
terms
let's do it.
of sharing your work here. This is again after the key message on painting called The Mountain, and it says, take a moment to reflect on your healing journey, the challenges that you have faced, the lessons that you have learned, and the progress you have made. Now, imagine yourself in the future, having reached a place of greater wholeness, light, and love. Yes, that's a wonderful exercise.
Yeah, yeah. And then it'll guide you into taking that imagination and painting it. Because what we want to do throughout the book is encourage you to use your mind because we're so used to it, but then to take that a bit further and use art as another
Hmm.
language that taps into your conscious and subconscious self to understand more. Um,
Well, art transcends many of these boundaries. And you talk about being in the mind or being in the mind too much. Clearly, that's a problem for many of us, and I'd say that's a problem of the modern world. But back to the unified path for a moment, which is about body, mind, heart, and soul. The mind clearly has a role to play, but let's start with the body. In what relationship has your relationship with your body developed or expressed itself in healing or understanding or self-knowledge in terms of your work here?
yeah, so much has been revealed and cleared and expanded. So, one is I had no idea how much past trauma was stored in different parts of my body. Um, and I understood that through art and process that trauma, whether it's through therapy or other modalities, but art was a central one. And then where art further came in is now after removing that energetic block in my body, I had space. I had space I wanted to fill that space with. And I got to choose through art. I was like, I want to feel whole. I want to feel alive. So then I would paint a painting, ideally, if possible, with that body part. And it was profound. So I'll give you an example. So I was the artist in residence at Georgetown University for their cancer center. And I worked with some patients on processing their relationship with cancer through art. And one of the really empowering things was having, for example, a woman who was just diagnosed with breast cancer to actually paint a painting with the area where she was diagnosed with cancer. So her breasts in this case. And it was a private experience and it was a profound experience. And we go through that journey again of all the emotions, no judgment. Whatever comes up, comes up. But we always end up with focusing on what is our North Star, meaning, what is it that what we want to feel? And that is everything. And then I did a few paintings about the bliss muscle. Bliss muscle is the muscle of fostering more bliss in your life. Like it's a practice, and we practice the stress muscle a lot. So I did the bliss muscle painting completely while dancing.
Aha.
And people could feel the energy in that painting that they're like, this is so fun. This makes me feel free. And I'm like, exactly.
That's a wonderful explication of how the body can be used for really deep self-knowledge and healing.
Yeah.
Finding those spots where these things are hidden and stored, and then releasing them and being done with them. Yes, the body, and we've talked about the mind. So let's move on to the heart for a moment and ask what emotional resources do you look for or do you use in terms of connecting?
Mm. I think, I often ask myself, why have I come to Earth? Why am I here? And I think I've come to two conclusions. One being, I imagine I chose to come here to have fun. What if I thought it would be a magnificent adventure and I'm here to experience things such as falling so deeply in love and experiencing a beautiful romantic relationship, which eventually also will lead to pain because at some point we will be separated, right? That's just the reality of life. There is death, right? And maybe I wanted to come experience emotion, what it felt like to be human. So for me, I think the heart is everything because I feel we're here as humans to feel seen, heard, and loved. That's what we all want, no matter what position we're in, no matter how much money we have, we all want to feel seen, heard, and loved. So for me, the heart is everything, and love for me
Yes.
is is the most profound thing.
Oh, Ida,
I
you
can.
expressed that so well. Uh, and yes, that heart dimension is so clear in you and your work. So let's move on to the soul part.
Mm,
And I would ask, in terms of this development in your art and your use of this art, how does it help one connect to one's spiritual nature or
mm,
express that connection with the transcendent?
yes. So I channel my art. I They're paintings that have animals in them, that have faces in them, that I cannot explain how I made them. It's just it was completely channeled. And I'll give you one story that kind of summarizes this. So there's one painting I was doing in New York years ago, and I was crying throughout the process. And I could feel a man who was, I think, 72, mourning a woman he loved. And I couldn't tell whether she was his wife, his mother, I didn't know. So, and so it's a painting about grief, but also celebration, because what an honor to have loved a woman. And now comes space. So immediately I posted it. I finished the painting, I posted it, and so many people loved it. And I said, oh, this is going to get sold within the week. I exhibited it, and a year and a half later, it still wasn't sold. And I've gone to the point where I trust my art. I no longer push it to be sold. Why? Because I've learned that through many experiences that when the person is ready, the painting will find it. It's an energetic match. So this man actually that I met at TED, um, uh, I remember I was sitting inside, when they were filming the talk, and as you know, we should not leave, right? But I got a very strong impulse. You have to get up now, Ida. I don't know why, and I follow it. So I go to this cafe. I'm guided to sit there. Then this man starts. I talk to him. I tell him, nice hat. Long story short, 2 years later, he comes to my studio, sees the painting, and cries. And he says, this describes the moment my mother passed away. And he said, this is her. I see her. And this man is quite a savvy art collector and has maybe hundreds, if not 1,000 paintings, I think hundreds. And he chose to put that painting in his bedroom because he sees his mom. This is what he tells me. He sees his mom every day through my art. And I have so many other stories like that
That's
where
wonderful, Ida. And very much in keeping with the body, mind, heart, and soul notion of the unified path. Do you have a story where you can talk about actually connecting all of those four elements in the process of producing a work of art?
for all of them, Terry, the honest answer would be it's none of them of work
That
like they
makes a
all,
lot of sense.
yeah, they have to be together. Otherwise, it's almost like someone asked me, how do you know, Ida, when a painting is done? My honest answer was my chakras all become aligned. And I just know. I never I don't think about. I just everything becomes aligned, and it's peace and it's harmony. So I go through that process with every single painting.
That's wonderful.
Mm, thank you.
Uh,
And it's been really fun actually just exploring, the ways I could use the art. So I've been guided, I've been working with people to channel their higher self through, through art. Why? Because again, I find the flaws of human beings is our forgetfulness. We forget. And that's where art comes in to be another reminder. Like it's in it, ideally, if you place it in your home or in your office where you're there more frequently. And I encourage people then to develop an affirmation. So every time they see the painting, they remember this affirmation. Something I forgot to mention is, are you familiar with Reiki by any
Oh,
chance?
yes. I actually am a certified Reiki master.
Oh, me too. So I used to do Reiki on people. And then I have stopped that and I just do it on my art. And that's another very important component to the healing part of art because everything is energy. So, and I never paint honestly when I don't feel centered because that energy goes into my art, which will eventually go into the person's home or office.
That is also a part I would put in the soul category of the unified path.
Yeah,
Yes, that's another part that makes us whole.
yeah.
And those are very good examples. Ida, I'd like to show everybody again this wonderful new book of yours, Life is a Miracle, which I think is a wonderful new book. And I'd like to end this interview by reading the quotation from the back of the book. And I'll do that now. Life is a precious gift, and through art, we uncover deeper appreciation and understanding of its beauty. My wish for you, my beautiful friends, is a life filled with love, joy, and deep contentment. Thank you, Ida. That's wonderful.
Thank thank you, Terry. Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. I'd be interested in your observations and anything you'd like to add. Please leave those in comments below. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, remember, body, mind, heart, soul, one.